Right guys, welcome to this brief essay practice video. We're going to be looking at factors affecting attraction, which incorporates self-disclosure, physical attractiveness, and filter theory. I'm going to do a 16 marker for each, and then we're also going to look at some specific variations like 8 markers or an application question along the way. Just so that I don't have to repeat myself throughout the video, I'm going to cover 4 evaluation points for each essay, but of course you don't have to use all 4. If you choose to learn 3 or even 2, then that's completely up to you. I'm a big believer in do less if you have to, but if you are going to do less, then do it well. As usual with these videos, I'm going to start with the question and the essay plan, and then we're going to go through what the essay would actually look like when it's all put together. Thank you in advance for watching, and please hit the like button if you find it useful and you want to see more videos like this. Right, so let's have a look at our first essay, which is on self-disclosure. Here's the whole plan. Now, there are just some things to point out here to make sure that you remember if you get this in an exam. There is a difference between self-disclosure and social penetration theory, but it's something that people often find hard to separate, which then results in them repeating themselves quite a lot in an essay, which then obviously affects how the essay flows. Okay, so self-disclosure is an action, as in you give somebody else information about yourself, and then social penetration theory is an application of that action to relationships. So social penetration theory takes self-disclosure and says that it's important for romantic relationships for a particular reason. To make sure that you don't repeat yourself throughout an essay, I would make most of my word count be about social penetration theory and just explain what self-disclosure is in one line or something like that. Okay, and you'll see how I've done that when I put the full essay up. Also, keep in mind that this is a discuss question, so the examiner is going to be looking for things like alternative explanations, counterpoints, and issues and debates. You don't need all of those things, but just make sure that you have some of them. And then finally, if you have a look at the second evaluation point, which is the counterpoint, it is a correlation causation point. Okay, when you have a correlation causation point, you are always going to be getting to the concept of we cannot infer cause and effect. Okay, when you get there, make sure you use the opportunity to point out that the direction of causality could be reversed, or there could be a third variable that's affecting both of the covariables. Okay, the examiners will love that, particularly if you can give an example of what that third variable might be. Okay, again, keep a lookout for it in the essay in a second. So here is the essay. You've got the outline with the first 2 evaluation points. If you have a look at the orange point, you can see that's the correlation causation point, and you can see that I've made reference to the reversed direction of causality and also the third variable, and the third variable that I've chosen is time spent together. You've then got the third evaluation point and the fourth one, which is a culture bias point, so I'm getting the issues and debates point in there as well. Now, I've also got an 8-mark version of this essay, just to show you that it can be cut down, so let's just have a quick look at that. So a quick reshuffle of the words. You cut down your outline from around 170 to about 90 to 100 words, give or take. We've also got rid of 1 evaluation point, and we're just left with our research support, our correlation causation point, and the culture bias point. Okay, so that's what it could look like if you had to do an 8-marker. Right, our second essay is on physical attractiveness. I've got 2 versions of this essay, and the first one is going to include 3 theories. You have evolutionary theories like symmetry or neoteny, then you've got the halo effect, and you've got the matching hypothesis. Now, some people find it easier when they can write less about more things, but of course, if you're going to do that, you have to consider that you have to include more evaluation points, because you shouldn't really write about something and then not evaluate it. Okay, so I'm going to use 1 evaluation point for each of the theories, and then I'm going to add an overall limitation at the end that's not linked to any specific theory, but rather just the concept of physical attractiveness in general. Okay, and that's the individual differences point that you can see at the bottom there. So here's the essay, outline, and your 4 evaluation points. Now, something to take note of here is the counterpoint in light blue. Now, this is a very trimmed down version of a point from the green-haired girl textbook. It's slightly too short to be used as a standalone point like that, but it does give a nice little counter-argument to the point that came before it. The fact that I've got several other points in my essay means that having one that's quite short but still makes a valid point is not a problem. The only reason it's there is because I wanted to have as much discuss as possible within this discuss essay. Okay, so if you want to get rid of it, then you can, but I just felt that it added a nice little counter argument to that point. Now, I've also got a second version of this essay which focuses on 2 of the 3 theories in physical attractiveness. Okay, and that is the halo effect and matching hypothesis. Okay, and that essay looks like this. Now, the reason I'm adding this variation is because the halo effect and the matching hypothesis are both named in the AQA spec, which means that you could be asked about them specifically, which is not the case for evolutionary theories. Okay, so just in case you get a question that asks you to outline and evaluate these 2 theories, this is what you could do. Okay, you'll notice that I've extended the point in light blue to be the full evaluation point for this one because I'm losing a whole evolution evaluation point, so I thought I would compensate with a bit more detail on that counterpoint. Obviously, it goes without saying that even if the question doesn't ask for these 2 theories in particular, and it's just a generic physical attractiveness question like the one in the last essay, you could just write about these 2 theories anyway. If you would rather learn less theories, but therefore have to put them in more detail, then this is how you would do it. Okay, so it's completely up to you. You don't have to include the evolutionary theories if you don't want to. So the third and final topic in factors affecting attraction is filter theory. Here's the plan. Fairly straightforward. There is a nice discussion point that I've thrown in at the end of the evaluation section, which pits filter theory against modern day 21st century online dating, which I think is a great point and also makes for a nice discussion in this essay. Okay, so if you are planning on cutting down your evaluation points, then I would definitely keep this one in because it takes a theory that is fairly old now and stacks it up against modern life, okay, which is a really nice way of getting a bit of discussion in there. In your outline, we are doing nothing complicated. We're just talking about the 3 different filters: social demography, similarity in attitudes, and complementarity. Okay, and this is what it would look like. Nothing much to say here. You can see the social change discussion point right at the end there in red. So if you want to get rid of one of the other ones, then you can. To be fair, if you want to get rid of that one, then you can, but I just particularly like that one. Now, my second version of this essay is an application essay. Okay, so here is a stem that I made earlier about John and Katie. Feel free to pause the video and give it a read so that you know what we're going to be talking about. Now here's the plan that goes with it. Obviously the outline stays the same as earlier, but the evaluation section gets a little bit shorter. Like I said, I would definitely keep the social change point in, but that's just personal preference on my part. There's quite a lot in this stem that you can pick out and that you can talk about, which isn't always the case in the actual exam, but sometimes it is. So you can see what I'm going to do with the application right there. Okay, and here we go. As you can see, I have woven the application into the outline. That is personal preference, and you could just have easily have done the application in a separate section if you'd wanted to. Either way is fine. Okay, it's quite a long essay, this one, so I would consider trimming out one of the evaluation points, and I would probably make it the counterpoint in orange, but that's just because I'm a bit biased towards that social change point. 3 evaluation points is the most that you're ever going to need for an application essay, so getting rid of that orange point is absolutely fine because the social change point will still give you the limitation, and it's also a discussion point. Okay, so you're not losing anything except one evaluation point that you don't really need, particularly if your outline and your application is strong. Right, and this brings us to the final essay. Well done if you've made it all the way to the end. This is a combination essay, and they are quite common at the minute. Okay, so this is also the reason why it's important that you understand what is being asked when the question says factors affecting attraction. Okay, it only covers the 3 theories that we've covered in this video. Now, the question is discuss 2 or more factors affecting attraction. Don't be thrown off by the wording. It's not a trick. 2 theories is plenty. You don't have to talk about more. You can, of course, if you want to, but you can easily get full marks with just 2 theories. As you can see from the plan, that is exactly what I intend to do with self-disclosure and the matching hypothesis. Okay, again, important to realize here that the matching hypothesis is a factor affecting attraction. I don't need to talk about everything within the physical attractiveness lesson. Okay, I could have picked evolutionary theories. I could have picked the halo effect. I could have picked the matching hypothesis. They're all individual things that you could talk about. In reality, it doesn't really matter which theories you choose for this essay, but my suggestion would be that you choose the ones that you can realistically talk about without having to go into too much detail or without needing too many words. Okay, otherwise you'll run out of time. So for example, filter theory I often think is a bad idea for something like this because it's quite tricky to include all 3 filters and explain what they are in very few words. Okay, whereas the matching hypothesis is quite easy to cut down. You can see in the evaluation section I've got my 4 evaluation points, and so you can pick the ones that you want to use. Okay, and then for the final time in this video, here is the essay. Just like earlier, you can see the very short counterpoint in light blue. As I said earlier, please feel free to remove it if you want. You'll see in the outline I've got slightly more to say in self-disclosure. That is the 3-mark outline from the 8-mark essay from earlier in the video. You can cut a little bit more out of that if you want to. However, the matching hypothesis is slightly shorter already than self-disclosure, so altogether that comes to about 185 words, give or take. So it's a nice length for an outline. There are quite a few evaluation points in there. You don't need the same amount of evaluation points for both theories. So if you go for 1 evaluation point for one and 2 evaluation points for the other, then that's fine as long as you have something for both. So again, it will come down to personal preference, how comfortable you are with essay writing, how quickly you can write, how many you can remember, and that kind of thing. Okay, so pick the ones that you like, get rid of the ones that you don't, and make the ones that you choose good. Okay? Right, and that brings us to the end of the video. I hope it's all made sense, and I hope it's been useful. Please remember to hit the like button if you want any more content like this. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you ASAP. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.